Hello, and welcome to another American Phototreks post-processing video. I'm Dave Soldano, and if you've never watched one of these before, hi, that's me in the corner right there. And you're going to follow along with me as I post-process one of our images from our Yosemite workshop. It was a real good time. We had real good light most of the time. It worked out really, really well. Really enjoyed it. And thank you everyone for coming. I talked a lot about blending when we were out in the field, and so I'm going to show you that in post-processing. If you've never watched one of these before, as I make any click or anything with the mouse, you're going to see it show up right below my face right there, so you'll know exactly what I'm doing. And then if you'd like, you can stop the video at any time and catch up with me if I'm going too fast. I hope I'm not. So we're going to process a few of these images from tunnel view during the evening. It was pretty fun watching the light just go through the valley during tunnel view, but it was a little bit challenging because it was like it was really good on one side of the valley during some parts of the evening and really good on light on the other side of the valley during other parts of the evening. Well, luckily I kept my tripod in the same place and was able to maybe work something out here where I can put a picture together that gives me the best of both worlds. So let's start off with what I liked here about this light going across, and I really liked how the light was hitting the right side of the valley right here. And I took five pictures bracketed right there. And so now I'm going to open those in Camera Raw just by selecting all of them and bringing them all in. And boy, and you can see this one. This is the I think +2 image right here, and boy, it's really, really bright. Put that back there. You can see why I like this based on this right here. Don't really like over here. Wish we were doing a lot better over here though. And part of Half Dome is missing right there. So let's this one right here, you can see it's clipping pretty bad, or not as bad as I thought, I guess. Nothing there. Next one, and what I'm doing there is just having it point out to me places where it's clipping. Really not clipping anywhere here. So I might just use these four. A lot of times if I don't have to use the really bright one, I won't. Just because to me it creates a little bit better HDR image to work with. And when I say HDR, when using the HDR in RAW or in Lightroom, it's really more of just a tonal blend than it really is a true HDR image, and I'll show you that right now. So I'm just going to select the ones that I'm interested in. I'm going to go over to my lens corrections, enable profile correction. It does it automatically anyway, if not, and remove chromatic aberration. And then I'm going to say File, Merge to HDR, and we're going to let that happen here. It's not going to take too long, but in case it does, I can just pause the video real quick right here, and we'll pick right up when it's done. Okay, so it's created its HDR video here, HDR image here. You can see really all it did was do a nice blend here. I do have Align Images on, Apply Auto Tone and Correction. And even though I was on a tripod, I've got just a bit of deghost just in case a little bit of wind going or something like that. And it'll show me where that's happening. Just save it here as a DNG file and have it bring that up as a file that I can use and take a look at. And there we go. Don't look too bad, right? Okay, don't like the fact that you can't see Half Dome here. And I don't like how much of this mountain is dark. I love the light over here, just the way it's, different intensities of light and that type of thing. I wish there was a little bit more light on the waterfall. That would be nice on Bridal Veil Falls right there. So we'll come over here, and it really brought down the highlights. I'm going to bring them back up just a little bit. Bring the contrast back up. Maybe come down just a tad there. I'm going to give myself a little of these shadows back. And otherwise that looks pretty good. Let me see. I really like these, I hate to say it, the dead trees and their color. So I'm going to grab this brush right here, this grab saturation right there, and I'm going to grab this color right here. I'm going to saturate that color just a little bit because I want these to pop a little bit more, and there's things I'm going to be able to do later that are going to bring that out more, but if I work on them right here, that's going to give me more to work with later. So that looks pretty good as a base image to me. So I'm not going to sharpen it or anything else right now because there's a couple things that I want to do to give myself a really complete image that I can start working on. So I'm going to just say open image. We're just going to open this one image in Photoshop. Now I'm going to go back to my other images that I was exposing. I'm going to peek over there towards Half Dome, and look, in these images now, you can see that Half Dome now, we can start seeing it. And let's see, is there more interesting light on El Capitan? Let's see. There we go. I like that. I like this one right here. That's pretty interesting, right? Got a little streak going across it and different things. Just a little bit more interesting, and we can really see Half Dome there. So kind of like that. I like it where it's got this little stripe there. So I'm going to grab these images with the stripe. This one that's way overcooked, I don't need to grab that. That's got no information in it that I need. May not even need this one. And I won't take the overcooked images if I don't need to do a blend because they don't give you anything, so why do it? So I'm going to grab these images right here. We're going to open those up in Camera Raw. And you can see here, even this one we've got some, but it brings in those shadows. So this will be a good one to blend. So I'm going to say select all, same way we did with the other one. I'm going to enable my profile correction and my chromatic aberration correction. And I'm going to again say merge to HDR. And we'll let that happen, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, we're ready to go. We'll merge them, create that DNG file. And there we go. That looks pretty good too. It's pretty interesting. Come back over here. Now, because I got rid of that really blown out one, I don't really have as much correction to do. Again, I'll bring down the shadow just a little bit, bring up the contrast just a little bit. The highlights don't need to be that far down. And again, I think I'm going to add just a little to these dead trees. And I'm going to open this up. All right, so here are our two images. Here on this one, we've got a lot better view of Half Dome. Got this interesting stuff over here and just a much better light on El Capitan there. But on this one, this is just more interesting here, more even, more color. And I like this right here. So let's see if we can get the best of all worlds here. All right, so let's start with this. Let's make this one our base one. Layer, flatten, duplicate layer, right there. Now I'm going to go get this one. I'm going to say select all, edit, copy. I know there's faster ways to do this for this purpose. I'm going to say Control V, paste that in right here. You notice these aren't perfect. I moved a little bit. Let's just see if we're going to be able to line them up. I think we will. I think they're going to line up just fine because this program's pretty smart. Let's just see if it's able to do it. All right, so we'll go Edit, Auto Align Layers. Just leave it on auto. Let's see what old Photoshop can do. Can it help us? All right, and it seems to have lined them up. See what they did? Put that right over that. Cool. All right, so it's lined up these images. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a mask over the top of this top image, which all really have done is just said we allow ourselves to paint away some of this top image and reveal some on the bottom. And I like these clouds right here. I love all that, and I like that you can see Half Dome so much better there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on Half Dome right here. So I'm going to take my black brush paints away the white mask. I'm going to put it, it looks like about 60% should be fine. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller. Now watch the magic. I'm painting away the top layer and revealing the bottom. And look, I can even kind of create a little bit of inversion there, so that now we get to see Half Dome. Isn't that sneaky? Isn't that great? No. Maybe go back to white here because I kind of liked that area right there. There we go. Now we've created some nice layers with the clouds too. I like that. Now, what about this rather boring light on El Capitan here? So in this case, I'm going to take my brush opacity down because I may not want to really reveal this light. Maybe I just want to make it look like it was a thin cloud that was on El Capitan here. So I'm just going to put 30% brush here, and I'm going to paste that on. Let's just see what we see when we paint on El Capitan here. And we're revealing more, we're giving it more light, but we still have this cool stripe here. And we're getting, let's see, what is down there? Let's take another look. Interesting. All right, so I'm gonna believe in myself a little bit more. Bring this up to about 50% flow and opacity. And there we go. I'm gonna give myself the best of both of these pictures. How wrong is that? Now we've got that cool stripe on El Capitan, and maybe even come over here a little bit. There we go. Really reveal this a little bit more. I wonder what's underneath there on this. Ooh, we got a little bit of something here. So again, I'm gonna create a little bit of special light right here. There we go. Now let's take a look over here. I really like my top image for all this light except right here. I like how this is being shown more in that image. And there we go. Now we've got a scene now with really interesting light going clear across the valley, right? And it's all light that actually occurred, just didn't all occur at the same time. So that it makes it a more interesting and fun picture. Still, I'm fussing just a little bit because light never, I don't think I ever got a situation where light ever really lit up that waterfall, did I? All right, well, so let's go ahead and layer, flatten. And now I just want the very best of this image. And to me, it looks like it's going to be a pretty darn good 16:9 image. So that's what I'm going to pick for my crop. I'm going to get all this less interesting stuff out of the way there. Take the best of the clouds, the best of the light. Hit that. And there we go. That's pretty cool. Now you got what I think is pretty interesting light all the way through that image. Could be nicer if it was back here was lit up a little bit more. Did we ever get More light back there. Oh, we sure did. Oh, we sure did. Look at this right here. And look, it only hit right there. Oh, that's irritating. I don't know if I like all of that right there. And look, it hit just the top of those mountains right there. And just some blue back here too. Oh, ho, ho. What do we have here? So let's grab these 5 images right here. There we go. And no, that one's blown out. I don't need that thing. All blown out too. All right, we'll just go with these. Still a lot of shadow on those other ones. So I'll take these 4. Again, I'm going to go with Enable Profile Correction, Remove Chromatic Aberration, Merge to HDR. We'll let them do that, and then we'll come back. All right, so it created the HDR right there. Going to again create that DNG file. And boom, right there it is. Looks pretty darn good. I love this blue streak right here and this extra little light down here. Aha! All right, so again, bring up the highlights back. I want some of my shadow. I want some more contrast. And now I'm going to open this image. All right, now this one might be more challenging because it looked like maybe my position changed just a little bit. I don't know if it did or not. All right, so select all, edit, copy, move here. This is the one I'm working with. Duplicate layer like that, and Control V to paste this in. Put this one on top. Select all 3 layers, edit, auto align. And you notice that even after I've cropped and everything, I think it's still going to be able to do this just fine because it's really just looking for those areas that it can blend. So there we go right there. And so again, I'm going to create a layer mask right here and take my black right there. Now I'm going to start to reveal some of the stuff I liked in this other image for the blend. Yeah, right back there. So all this light actually occurred, just all occurred probably within about a 20-minute time period. What I really liked too is the way it highlighted these peaks. Very, very cool. So I get the best all that time. And you know what? If this technique isn't for you, that's fine too. I want to see that blue in here. I love that. I love the way that was working for me. Just adding another layer. Layers are really good in these images. More depth, more interesting. The image, that blue right there, I really like. Just that one little shred. Just go over it again. See that little pink line that's right there as I brush? What's happening there is I've turned on the content aware for my brush. And so it's watching my edges for me, which is nice. I'm going to make these. So the way it works is if I'm on 50% opacity here, the more I paint, then the more is revealed. Boy, and that's pretty darn cool right there, right? I like that. So now we'll go back to our crop, back to that 16 by 9. Let's fit the screen. And it should kind of auto pop itself into the way I had it before. And that, then we'll go layer, flatten. And now this is an image that has a lot more drama. It has a lot more pop to it. All these layers of light and clouds and everything in there. That's pretty darn cool. You know what? I just saw something. Makes me want to. Yeah, it makes me want to paint a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to take my wand and I'm going to paint just a little bit more. And give myself just a little bit more of that nice blue sky right there. I get a little impatient and up my opacity there. Also up the size of my brush. And, you know, it's hard to see where, you know, it works like magic because it's really just one image of the same thing on top of another. So there we go. We've just added just really another layer there with that blue. That's really pretty. Now we'll flatten it. And now I'm going to start doing some of my real adjustments to start bringing this stuff out. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tool called Vivesa 2. It's part of the Nik Effects online. And I'm going to click on that because it lets me do some localized adjustments. And like this waterfall really should be popping, right? I mean, it's a key element in the picture, but you know, we just never got quite the light on it we wanted to. So the way this Vivesa works is it kind of mimics light. So I can add a little bit of light right in there and then a little bit of contrast, and I can make this waterfall pop the way I think it should. Bring that back over there. And see how we've added that right there, and you can, that's better. Okay, I'll flatten that again. And that's probably just because I'm just naturally in need of order in my life. And now I'm going to turn Vivesa 2 back on again. And now I'm going to help myself make these orange trees pop just a little bit more. I'm going to add some saturation there, add some red, add some contrast, and then I can just duplicate that brush that I just created there and bring it around to some of the other places in my picture that need it. And there we go. And you can see what I did there. Just added some color there. And so what I'll do is, because it's a layer, I can bring down the opacity and then just bring up the opacity until I get the amount of the effect I want without going overboard. And so that 100% really wasn't exactly what I was needing right there. So really about 80% still gives me the effect I want. So that looks good. So then I'll say layer, flatten. And you know, one of the things that can be a real distraction is just small amounts of things sticking into pictures. You see that right there? And I'm going to take my selection tool right here, and I'm going to select this part of the tree that's just sticking in my picture, content aware it. As you can see, it didn't come out just perfect, but it gave me enough to work with. And otherwise, that would just be, in my opinion, a horrible distraction. Same with this guy here. sticking into the picture where it really doesn't belong. Okay, so that's not bad. Now we're going to use another Nik effect. We're going to use Color Effects Pro, and I'm going to turn that on. All right, and then we're going to give a little bit of skylight filter, which is kind of a warming filter. Adds a little color there, maybe a bit too much, but that's all right because we're going to put it on a layer. There it is. And then we're going to take that layer down to 0 and only bring it up till it gives us the effect we want. In this case, only really want about 50% of that. Layer flatten, back into Nik Effects. And I really don't blend, I won't do Color Effects Pro. I usually just do one thing in Color Effects Pro, create a layer with that, and then go back in and another layer. I don't, so in this case I'm going to do Pro Contrast, and just look at that right there. Boom. That is a big help right there. Really adding some depth here, and our final step here is going to add even more there. There we go, color correct. Now it's really starting to add depth. Look at that. I really like that. Okay, and we'll say okay. And that looks pretty darn good. You can kind of see. I don't think I'm going to mess with that too much as far as the opacity. We'll take a quick look, but I think 100% is going to be where I'm going to be happy with that one. That looks good. Layer flatten. Okay, we're going to do this a couple more times. Color Effects Pro again. Now you got to be careful with this one. Tonal contrast. This is the one that can kind of add that HDR look, right? So there it is, where you really start getting the depth and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of it in the sky, although in this one it doesn't actually look too bad. I mean, you can see how it goes, but it really starts to add the depth. We're going to use that and see how it's really starting to make the image pop. And I like that. The question is it too much in the sky? Does the sky start to look fake and HDR-y? Well, not too bad. One thing I don't like is this really extreme blown out part here. I'll take a look. In clouds, let's again take it down to 0 and only give us what we want, which is going to be right about there, right about 80. We don't need 100% on this. Looks pretty good. Layer flatten. Now here's a secret little thing. I really want to add, I want to make these look more like trees and less like, blobs of color down here. And this is a cool thing to do. Let me show you again. It's with Color Effects Pro. And this is actually one of the effects that is listed with the portrait section, and it's called Bleach Bypass. You're looking at that going, David, I don't like what that just did to your photograph. And I agree, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to click OK. But one thing you can see that it did do is it turned all these blobs down here into trees. So I'm going to turn that all the way down to just about 15%. So now it starts looking more like a forest right here. Don't necessarily like what it did. Yeah, it's not too bad what it did everywhere else. Yeah, just about, maybe just about 13% bleach bypass. And you can see what it did. Just, again, what I love is it added some depth. But don't really necessarily like what it did here. So I'm going to add a negative mask by holding Alt and then the negative mask. Now I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to brush away some of what that bleach bypass did. right here on these rocks because I kind of like those colors up there. There we go. Oh, no, it's not doing anything because it's on black. There we go. Now let's go white. Now we bring back some of that warmth and color right here. There we go. Kind of see how that worked. And it's subtle. Subtle's good. And there we go. All right, layer, flatten. All right, maybe one time, just would like a little bit more, something more down here. I'm going to take a second look at tonal contrast, just a second tonal contrast pass in just the forest, just to see what it looks like. And I kind of like it. Don't like what it did everywhere else, but I do kind of like what it did with the forest here. Just gave it all a bit more definition and pop. And so what I'll do is add that layer. Oh, I like that. I'll add that layer right here, but now I'll add a negative mask by doing Alt black. And then I'm just going to paint where I want that tonal contrast to be, which was just on the forest. I don't want it on the rest of my picture. The rest of my picture looks pretty good, so I don't need that. But I do like it on these trees down here. So that's what I'm going to do right there. There you can kind of see we just made this area right down there pop just a little bit more. Layer, flatten. And that's looking pretty darn good right there. Again, though, I really want to have the eye drawn through the picture. So I'm going to do one more thing to see if I can't really make it so your eye just flows right straight through that picture. Again, it's with Color Effects Pro. Again, it's something that's considered, now this one's considered a wetting effect. You can see that tonal contrast hit again. Some people might like that. That ain't too bad. But I'm going to go darken, light, and center. Darken, light, and center. It's a wetting effect normally. I'm going to put it on round right there. And I'm going to place my center right where I kind of want the eye to go. So look what happened. See how we changed the light? I mean, it's like magic, isn't it? So we've taken it, so now all of a sudden your eye is drawn where we want it to go. It's more dramatic. I like it. I'm keeping it just like that. I like it. And again, we'll take the layer down to 0 and just give enough effect where we want it, which in this case I think is about 86%. And that's starting to look pretty darn interesting and very similar, I mean very close to what I want. A lot of interesting light flowing down here. Just a beautiful afternoon light there. And you know, it's really 3 different pictures all combined into one, but it's combined into one really pretty picture. Last thing I'll do is layer, flatten, and then I will use Define to, which is another Nick effect, to just look at noise, because we have used, you know, some things here that can produce noise if we're not careful. And it picks the areas that needs the noise, and I don't think I need to be too fussy with it. It looks pretty darn good. And so I'll denoise it, layer flatten. Last thing I'll do is I'll go up here and I'll do a real deep sweep for dust spots, anything like that. Other than that, I'm happy with it and I'm done. So it's taken a while. It's been about a 35-minute video here. So You know, I've told you I do take a while on some of my images, but this one, in my opinion, needed it. And again, we talked about blending, and I've showed you how to do that. Maybe something you like, maybe something you don't, but there it is for your approval. All right, again, thank you very much for attending American Photo Trek workshop. Hope you find this video useful. Give it a thumbs up if you do, and have a great day. Bye-bye.